Due to the abnormal rainfall, I think grass has been the biggest problem that we've had keeping up with it. Because if you remember last year, July the 4th and all through Middle Tennessee, we had basically a drought where everybody was canceling all their fire shows and all that. And last year at this time, we probably picked up close to about 15,000 tons of brush, because we really didn't have any storm or anything. Even though the spring actually started a little bit earlier last year, it got so hot starting in the end of May and June, we were already in triple digits here. And here we are on August the 15th, and this morning it was 55 degrees. It has been a very unusual year for yard waste. Plus we had the windstorm that hit us here about right before the 4th, and it impacts not only just one little section of the city, impacts a lot of the different areas of the city, so we're having to clean up and pick up a little bit of areas that we normally haven't had to.
Joey explains how residents need to present their brush and limbs for the solid waste employees to pick up.
We ask that residents place it up to the curb, but not in the street, not under overhanging wires. And if you put out a small pile and put another pile out, you have to realize that the truck that comes by and picks this up, we do not distinguish between if you've got one little pile or if you've got a pile that stretches 50 or 60 feet across the street. We do not limit you in how much you put out. We do limit it on the length and the size, but we do not limit on how much you put out. But if you actually have a tree service, and I'm talking about if you hire somebody to do it, it doesn't matter if they're not a licensed or bonded tree service or yard service, if they are the ones that are cutting it, they're also the ones that should be hauling it off. Because I know that there's over 150, 200 lawn services in Murfreesboro themselves, and if they're cutting your grass and putting it out the street, they should be the ones that should be hauling it off. And they do have free disposal at our mulching facility at 4765 Florence Road.
A couple of other tips for residents. If you can, only make one pile of brush and limbs at the curb. Refrain from making multiple little piles. Don't mix bulk items such as furniture in with brush and limbs.
You know, for the solid waste department, we have two missions, garbage and brush. And if we have somebody that's not here on the garbage truck, the first person that we take off is the brush truck, because they are actually the ones that can run the garbage truck. So if you happen to have somebody off on vacation or sick or whatever, and they are actually supposedly out running a route, we have 6 brush trucks now that we're running around the city, trying to do 55 square miles. They try to rake up and do as super job as everything, but when you go to one house and pick up over 6.5 tons of brush at one house, that's almost a half of a load of a garbage truck where we're just picking up one can. So it's a little bit harder to tell exactly how long it's going to be when you're at one house picking up, whether it be one bite or you might be there for 2 hours just because of the way that the brush is out there. We try to get around the city in 14 to 21 days. Since about the end of June, it's been closer to 28 to 32 days. Hopefully we'll be getting a little bit quicker as we get back into more of the season, but it seems like this year that everybody is trimming trees all the way through the year instead of just during the spring or in the fall of the year. One of the other things, if you would like for us to be a little bit quicker, one of the best ways of being quicker is, instead of just putting loose grass out at the curb, put it in a biodegradable paper bag. You can buy those at just about any store in the city. It makes it a lot simpler than having to pick up just a long string of grass that's just piled up out the street than it is in 3 or 4 bags.
Remember, leaving grass clippings in your yard while mowing, opposed to bagging it, is the best mulch you can use for a healthy, good-looking lawn.
I try to remind everybody is that the garbage and the yard waste, we run every street. Garbage is, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Brush is the same thing. But we run every street, cul-de-sac, and whether we have to go into a dead end backups and all that stuff in the alleys around the square and all that, those trucks are in there having to pick up brush. So when we say the city of Murfreesboro, you have to realize it's the city limits of Murfreesboro, whether it's all the way out in the Blackman area, all the way down to Joe B. Jackson, through Southeast Broad Street, all the way out Compton Road, and the newer subdivisions that are now starting to come back and develop, to all the established neighborhoods that we have, you know, such as the ones here on Jones Boulevard and Northwoods and Northfield and all that.
It is a challenge for the Solid Waste Department to tell residents specific streets they will be servicing at any given day. The city's Facebook page is updated weekly to inform residents what area they are working. Just search City of Murfreesboro on the Facebook page.
When you're looking at what you're trying to do with 6 trucks and picking it up, and I cannot tell you exactly what day they may be on what street, because it just depends on what they see on the street when they get there. If they call 893-3681, you know, they can ask me, and I can tell them exactly about where we're at. But if they're going to ask me specifically what street they're going to be on, no, I cannot. It really depends on how much is out there when we get there. You know, that's the one thing that we never know. When you turn down the street, you could go down one street and there's nothing on it. The next street, you could be there for almost 6 hours. If a tree service cuts it, or a yard service trims it, cuts your grass, whatever, they're to haul it off.
Remember, for residents or tree and lawn businesses, you can take your yard waste to the city's free mulching facility at 4765 Florence Road.